Clean girl, minimalist, no makeup, your face but better. Every new product is a must-have, and every new restaurant requires a run, never a walk. While I understand that trends are cyclical, the recycling of the same looks and behaviors in this never-ending loop of mundanity starts to feel like a sinister version of 50 First Dates. An algorithm dictates these trends that are reliant on desire, overconsumption, and a short memory span. But despite the constant critiques of microtrends as a pop culture phenomena, we still engage. What is pulling us towards the constant search to feel like something new? Welcome to BS, a podcast where we take an in-depth look at different scientific and social phenomena and innovations, whilst tying them back to broader societal perspectives and why you should care. We hope you enjoy this episode.
The first time that I heard about Miss Hailey Bieber and the wearing a face mask and eating the sushi, all I could do was audibly sigh. It was just so reminiscent of the quote-unquote Sophia Richie dance, and I really put quotations around that because I'm telling you that I'm using dance in the loosest of terms. Like, in the loosest of terms. I don't even think Sophia Richie knew she was doing the Sophia Richie dance. When I first looked it up on TikTok to try to understand what everybody was talking about and what all the discourse was about, I'm like, the first video that comes up, I'm literally thinking like, oh, like that's not even like what I'm looking for. Like, clearly there must be a mistake and the video is like farther down. No, that is in fact the video that they were referencing of her literally doing a 1-2 step with Jake Shane to Messy by Lola Young. I was just like, oh my God. I was expecting step up levels of...
Well, that was your fault. I'm sorry. Like, I hate to say it, but that may have been your fault. I feel like when I started hearing about the like smaller micro trend, Sophia Richie dance, the face mask and sushi, somebody else did that, the blueberry milk nails. I think that's the first time I
don't remind me of
genuinely
blueberry milk nails. Like, hey.
That massacre, never forget. But I'm just like, that's the first time I genuinely felt old. Like, I was like, I don't understand. Like, I don't get it, and I feel out of the loop.
I don't remember feeling old. I just remember feeling like, what do you call it? Confused. Like, I was just confused on like what all the hype was about and like what people were like, because it always starts with me hearing about it and like not actually seeing it myself, and then going to investigate and just being so overwhelmed, or not overwhelmed, definitely never overwhelmed, definitely underwhelmed, like just disappointed and underwhelmed, because I'm like, I cannot believe this is what is taking up brain space for y'all.
The investigations just leave me with more questions. Like, I find out what blueberry milk nails are, and then I'm like, okay, like, I'm more confused. I see, like, you literally sent me the video of the Sophia Richie dance, and I'm like, right, I'm more confused. Like,
yeah, no, honestly, when researching this topic, like, obviously a big one when we talk about like mass micro trends is of course going to be fashion, and just how like that entire fashion trend cycle has accelerated. But I saw this one user comment about how like it's all really just like a landfill speed run, and that has altered my brain chemistry. Shout out to that user, because they really changed my life, where I'm just kind of like, that in the simplest of terms, that is exactly what this is, which is just like overconsumption, packaged nicely, like overconsumption with a bow, really, when we're talking about like micro trends.
And I mean, don't say too much. Like, you say something about Shein, they're gonna jump you. Like,
they're gonna literally jump me for saying maybe we should care about child labor and the fate of our planet. But I digress. Clearly, y'all can kind of diverge the topic for today, and that's just going to kind of be trends, and we'll dive into a lot of different aspects, like what are they, how do they arise historically, how have they been spread, and then obviously in this new age of social media and the internet that we've really kind of seen over the past 2 decades, how has that influenced our trend cycle, and also what we actually do consider to be creative, fun, new, etc. And so, as always, let's get into our guiding research questions. So the first one is, what are trends, the psychology behind them, and what modern day role does social media play in their actual development? The second question is, what has caused the current uptick in trends and microtrends, specifically over the past 5 years, because I think that's when we've seen the most growth in terms of that niche. And finally, what impact does this have on individuality, creativity, and sustainability? So, as always, we're excited to get into the episode. We've done a lot of peer-reviewed research to try to figure out and pick everybody's brains as to what's really going on here. So,
first of all, trying to find actual like professionals talking about this off of like a simple Google search was so difficult. Like they just was not putting the funding to the Bloquet Core. I'm so sorry. But yeah, in terms of what are trends, even though this seems like probably an over explanation, just broadly trends are just an inclination towards something and like a clear like societal inclination towards something. So again, like jeans could be trendy as an adjective. Something could be a trend, like again, Sophia Richie dance, whatever that was, like, or we can be trending towards something because it's used past like its usage in like fashion and influencing. Like it's also just used as, again, like just a common term, like, you know, we're trending towards fascism, but that's a whole nother conversation. And when I was doing research on this, like I came across the word homophily, which has a direct translation of just like the love of sameness. And I was like, okay, like this makes a lot of sense, because to me it felt very intuitive to understand like what a trend was. Like, you know, if you've taken any psych class, they've done that, like groupthink. Oh, you tell the like one person to do something, then you replace the people in the room and then they start following them. Like I've had to go through
very George Orwell 1984 type vibe.
Exactly. Very Stanford Prison Experiment. Like they're about
Animal
to start
Farm. Yeah.
And so I'm just like, yeah, that made sense to me. Like humans are social creatures. Like we do not like to be lonely. We do not like to feel like the odd one out. We don't like to feel left out. So I was like, okay, homophily makes sense. And it actually derived from a study they were doing about like integrating this apartment complex. And you know, during that time, obviously it was like the 1950s, the idea that like attracts like, birds of a feather flock together was something that people used to say in regards to race. And there were these two sociologists that were like, you know, let's see about that. And they basically conducted surveys within the community about like how they would feel about like an integrated apartment complex. And they found, as we probably all could have guessed, that not only do your physical looks make you you know, attracted to somebody or want to get to know want to get to know somebody, but also just like your values and like your beliefs that can make you, again, want to be somebody's friend, want to be in community with them. It's not just necessarily like, you know, down with the brown. Like, you know, they actually cared about them as people, which again just kind of follows the cycle of wanting to, again, do things with others. Like, again, you like rock music, I like rock music. Okay, like now we need to talk about this new guitar.
There's also multiple different ways to kind of go about defining trends. For example, Lottie Bazoo, a senior art director and visual curator, describes a trend as a collective movement in her Substack article, The Psychology of Trends, Why We Love, Adopt, and Leave Them. She goes on to invoke the theory of social proof, a term coined by psychologist Robert Cialdini in the 80s that says that when we are uncertain, we mimic the behaviors of others to guide us on how to act in certain situations. She actually ends up positing a very interesting take to me on how celebrities now serve mostly as accelerators or amplifiers of trends rather than just the outright creators of them. I can definitely see her point, and I think that's just honestly due to the sheer amount of content that we have at our fingertips, rather than the more kind of exclusive looks into the mystique and lives of celebrities during the 90s and the 2000s. But I don't know, Gold, what do you think?
I definitely think she has an interesting take, and I think I agree with a lot of it. However, I think we are oftentimes just seeing like a mimicking of what has already happened. I mean, it's like I said, like it's very cyclical. Because I remember even like watching a video about a very like famous actress, and like one of the most like, I guess, striking parts of her look was the fact that her hair fell into her face. And her, like, during one of the world wars, they had to literally like reach out to her and like ask like, hey girlie, like everybody's copying you right now, like could you possibly like start wearing a hairstyle that like tucks your hair back, because there's a lot of women in the workforce and they're getting hurt. So I feel like the idea of like a public figure or a celebrity like accelerating a trend is something that's just always been around as long as like idealizing people has been around, to be quite frank. So that's the only thing that I'm just like, we've probably seen this for a while, but no, definitely good points.
Yeah. No, I definitely see what she's saying with the like they serve kind of as like, rather than necessarily the taste makers or the culture makers, but kind of a representation of what's already going on. But I think it's an exposure thing. Like I think we're still definitely influenced and impacted by what they're doing, but maybe we're also influenced and impacted by a myriad of things that are all amalgamated, and so they're really just figureheads and maybe not like the sole cultural markers like maybe they once used to be. But with everything that we've said, we're just trying to kind of hammer in the fact that trends are nothing new. Like, it's a very human desire to want to fit in with the group, conform, and feel like you found people who are similar to you, especially like identity signaling to visually demonstrate your affiliations. Like, that's a common practice across all ethnicities, cultures, and even time periods. Whether it was aristocracy or blue-collar workers, everyone reacts to and engages with trends. There's even multiple terms that kind of explain this theory, whether it's herd mentality, bandwagon effect. We've obviously just talked about like social proof. And so there's a lot of different things that kind of explain humans' desires to be part of a group. And trends and microtrends, honestly, are just kind of sweeping through the social media cycle right now at a faster rate than before, though. And so the rate at which these trends are spreading is completely different and a lot more rapid than we've ever seen. Historically, like the agents behind trends would be like celebrities, influencers, but it could also be like big corporations and even the government, like Gold talked about with that one famous Hollywood actress. But the new agent on the scene is, of course, social media algorithms. Your algorithm kind of literally determines what you're gonna see. It's obviously based on your taste and your personal preferences, your quote unquote echo chamber to speak, but at the same time, like, it also has the ability to kind of recommend and feed into like what you're ingesting on a daily basis. It actually does have a pretty profound impact on our life. And so of course, these trends and microtrends are gonna pop up for us a lot faster, sometimes even faster than you'll see them in real life, because at the end of the day, algorithms work in extremes. You're gonna kind of get the most positive or negative version of whatever story is currently going around.
I think it's definitely all a capitalist hellscape. Like, obviously the algorithm is there, but also there's just so much money in influencing now that it's just like, even the things that you're watching that aren't ads are ads as well. Like,
they don't disclose them. That's the issue, is that they were doing these ads, like, and they will not disclose them. My favorite thing to play is catch the ad, because I can always, like, it's just a subtle pretext. Like,
and honestly, like, you are even taking it a step farther than what I was thinking. I'm just like, because the thing is, like, with all of these, like, everybody copying TikToks, kind of like YouTube Shorts, Instagram Reels, TikTok, scrolling algorithms with short form videos. They'll put an ad or two in every couple of videos, but I'm just like, even the videos that I'm not watching, even when they're disclosing, are promoting something. They're always promoting something. Like, you always want me to buy something. Like, it's actually starting to make me lose my mind. And that just brings us to our second question, which is like, why are we here? Like, what caused the current uptick in like micro trends and just like trends in general? And for me, and this is something like, this is just a hill that I've been willing to die on, it's just the increasing strength of parasocial relationships. Like, do not get me wrong, I know people saw Michael Jackson and fainted, but they used to do that maybe once, maybe twice, you know, if they got it like that. If
like
Mike
Jack.
Listen, if that 401k was hitting, like, maybe they got to see him that close up twice in concert. But with this just inundation of information in the social media age, and getting to see like your favorite celebrities and your favorite influencers over and over and over, and creating like not just like one level of stan, like Michael Jackson fans fading, but yeah, you're seeing like Barb's an army, like seeing that level of standing just commonly, like, and I feel like just being able to interact with them as a human being and feeling some kind of like relation to them, whether or not it's mutual, is making people take their like, it's making you feel a false sense of closeness to them, and that you have like, one, I feel like people have always had like the desire to again like emulate the people who quote unquote have it all, whether it's looks, fame, riches, but to actually be able to hear again your favorite celebrity say like, this shirt is from here, and like this is my like Vogue get unready with me routine, and like these are products you can buy. So yeah, that was one thing to me. And then also too,
that accessibility definitely has turned things in a different direction, because once again, it's no longer they're in a magazine and then it's like, okay, I'm looking in, or they're on a red carpet or something like that, and it's breaking the news. Obviously, like there's still this level of idolization, but it's like, okay, J-Lo looks really cute in that iconic green dress, but like that's Roberta Cavalli. Like I can't afford that.
But now it's Fashion Nova.
Exactly. Now it's things that people can actually kind of put in their closet, especially when we start leaving celebrity and going into the sphere of influencer, and now it's really starting to become a lot more accessible. You can definitely see the gears in people's heads switch when they think, oh, I can actually start to attain even minute pieces of these people's lives.
And another thing that is, to me, the like second biggest driver is just overconsumption. Like, we have a problem with desires in the US. Like that's a whole like another rabbit hole, but I just feel like people feel the need to fulfill their every desire no matter what, and I don't think they're thinking that hard about like what it takes to get there, like,
or who they have to kind of sacrifice in the process.
And that's where we even got like the dupe culture, because like when we talk about things like seeing like a J-Lo in a vintage Roberto Cavalli dress back in the day, it's just like, I think again, all these people want is to emulate the life they see. So they may not be into Roberto Cavalli, they may not even be into archival fashion like that, but they, again, like they see somebody with the life they want doing that thing, so they want to go and do it by any means.
A lot of people talk about like there's a difference between liking fashion and liking clothes, and I think like that's the perfect phrase to like sum it up as well.
I mean, we already kind of have a word for this. It's posers. Like, and not even necessarily in a bad way. It's just like
true.
Not engaging in a subculture, kind of just like working with your eyes and your eyes alone, and like chasing like whatever you see. So now we have Fashion Nova, she and Temu making 1,001 different versions of whatever Roberto Cavalli dress that you saw that probably don't look the same, probably gonna last just as long as the trend did.
Terrible quality.
Like as long as it fulfills your desire in that moment. And like I know this is true because these companies are making billions on billions, which is something that we already knew, but they are just quadrupling in the amount that they've been making over the last 5 years. Like in 2019, Shein's revenue was like 5 billion, and it's like over 30 billion currently, like yearly. It's just like, and I know it's only going to go up.
But I say that every episode, like, oh my god. No, like that. But I would say with like the parasocial relationships and the overconsumption, like they honestly kind of just like meld together, because I think it just boils down to like people treat the adoption of trends as like an adoption of a newer, cooler version of themselves. And you start to really realize when you peel back the layers of the onion and look at like the ways that people are adopting it and the speed at which they're doing it, and kind of, no shade if you go to some of these people's profiles and kind of look through their content, like you start to realize it's less about the individual items and more about like who you are, what you value, and how you want to be perceived by others. And all industries are subject to this phenomenon. I know like a lot of the examples we've talked about is like fashion, but I think this goes into like business, tech, wellness. Like we see our items as an extension of ourselves, And in like a way, they are. Like, I do think that to an extent, the things that you own, the clothes that you buy, the food that you consume tells a story about the type of person you are, what you value, the spaces in which you exist. But you start to realize these people make that everything. Like, this is the visual indicator of the group that I'm in with. This is a visual indicator of like what I care about, what my aspirations are, what my educational goals are. And it just like, that's why we're starting to see them become so much more niche than like a specific vintage kitten heel. Like, it starts to become, once again, like a small dance, a specific face mask, like even just like the trends, or sorry, the terminology that people use, like it'll even be like small quips that I start to see people adopt into their vernacular that sounds foreign on their tongue, but I realize it's because, once again, they're trying to demonstrate to the world, like, this is what I value. Like, maybe I value queer culture, black culture, whatever, what have you. Because we know that y'all have done run everything into the ground. And so, yeah, it's just, it's like, it's so about who you are. And like, when you make who you are in a, once again, like late stage capitalist society that values profit over anything, values profit over human lives, making who you are based off of the materialist things that you consume, like that is very, very dangerous. I'd say it's a dangerous road to go down, but we're already down the road, so.
And again, like, I'd argue that we've been down that road. Again, like, the word poser did not exist for no reason. But yeah, like, I definitely think that people, again, like I said, they're just moving with their eyes. And it's weird because this is not even supposed to be shade or like, oh, I'm so much better than you, and like I'm not a sheep, and like I'm thinking for myself, and I didn't do the Sophia Richie dance. Like, it's not even giving that, because when you really think about it, I feel like everybody is at least slightly susceptible to this. Okay, like they spend thousands of dollars on psychology and marketing. You think it's not going to work on you? Those are the people that it works on the most. Like, I'm just being honest. Like, we are visual creatures. If we see things, we are going to want to replicate them. And I don't think people are thinking for every shirt they want or every hairstyle they think, like, do I really want this? Or is she just really pretty? Or does she just have like, it's just like, that's not what we are inclined to do. So again, like, it's not even like, oh, how could you not understand? How could you not know? Like, no, like, that's just not how things work. Yeah. I mean, I remember there was like a trend that was like how I used to dress versus how I dress now. People are just like shitting on how they used to dress about 10 years ago. But I was just like, no, baby, you were fly 10 years ago. Like, 10 years ago, the skinny jeans were in, and so was the snapback. And I'm looking at the way you dress it now, and it's just like, why jeans and Timbs? Like, you finna laugh at yourself in 10 years again.
Products of their times, for real. And sometimes when people even do that, I'm like, you were literally a child. Like, you were in middle school. What do you even want me to say? Past that, like, I think it's interesting too, because, and this was something that, like, also as I was doing my research came up, and I was actually watching, like, he's this one comedian on TikTok. He's mad funny, actually. And I guess he has, like, a podcast as well. And he was talking about how he felt like the trends that used to be back in the day, like, obviously still trends, obviously still very much based around aesthetics and wanting to feel part of the group, still had their own fair shares of cringe and stuff like that. But he felt like they were less materialistic and they were far more attainable for people to actually do. Like, the example he gave was kind of like alt grunge-ish, and it's just like, it was more like a black beanie or like a specific color, or eyeliner, or like when we were used to do like the like Insta aesthetics, like it would be taking pictures under palm trees, or like specific, like, you know, like chalk drawing, you know, like the little chalk drawings, then you put your little colorful rainbow shoes and then taking a picture. And I was like, when he was saying that, I was like, no, that's true though. Like, he was like, now the trends and the micro trends that cycle through, it feels like everything is associated, like you need to buy something in order to be actually able to participate in that. And I thought that was very interesting. I kind of agree to an extent, but I was also a child when this was going around though, so like I can't necessarily say my word is gold, but like I do remember, I feel like the trends growing up didn't require as much consistent purchasing. Like even makeup or like fashion, where those things are partly materialist based, the time span in which you needed to buy new products or get into new things, I felt like was a lot smaller in comparison to how like now genuinely if you were actually trying to keep up with everything new like that was going on.
I mean, I feel like a big part of that is just the shift in the type of people who are desired. Like, to be honest, because influencing
like what kind of people who are desired?
Like, because influencing has grown so much as a career, the influencers that do have the largest like fan bases and do have like the most to be desired are just no longer relatable. I remember people trying to like slay Jackie Aina for this.
They did not leave her alone. Actually, they still don't leave her alone.
Jackie Aina is just not whatever Jackie Aina you were watching 10 or 15 years ago. Okay, you saw that house. You saw that house in this economy. You saw that house. Come on now. At the end of the day, like a woman who is in her late 30s, 40s, who is quite literally a multimillionaire, it just can no longer be relatable to a 19-year-old girl who has a $80 Ulta gift card from when she graduated high school, who needs to make something shake. Like that's
$80 is nice. Hey,
listen,
$80 is pushing it.
Straight
okay,
A's.
Period. Like, she balling out of that Ulta. And I was like 25 or 50 was the max I was getting.
But like honestly, I feel like what makes something cool and what makes somebody cool shifted with influencers kind of like shifting into their own celebrity class. Because when we talk about these like earlier like social media trends where it was just like more so people trying to find community and friendship through social media, and where now that we are so oversaturated with people and access to social media to the point where sometimes I wake up and think globalization is a mistake. There's now more. I'm just being.
I've never heard so. I mean, interesting take. Can't say I agree, but
I just feel like now we've like just shifted our definition of cool, and being cool is more so to distinguish on social media than it is to belong. And because like we've stratified, it's just like, okay, like at first it's like, oh, it's cute, you know, like I put my like little like song behind my social media page back in the MySpace days, to now it's just like, okay, now that we all have access to these things and we're all the same, you need to understand like I'm a part of like the cool kids community. Like I'm not a part of the people who don't have a Canon GX7 like G7X. Like I do have the sunset photo, and I do have the like aesthetic Instagram dump. Like I am cool like these celebrities. I am not lame like you. Like
it's interesting that you say that, because I feel like recently too a lot of people have been kind of having the talk about like, I want Instagram to go back to the way that it was when it was unmanufactured and you could just log on and take a picture of your salad and stuff. I get them, but I will say I just think it's unrealistic. Like every time we have these conversations, like even the people who purposely go out and make the accounts to try to have the like old Instagram aesthetic, and like even like dumps were in part kind of came because people were craving that quote unquote realness. But like at the end of the day, we're too deep into the self-surveillance culture. Shout out to a previous podcast that we've done. I don't think that people will actually have the ability to detach themselves from the real understanding that like other people are watching and judging the aestheticness and the put togetherness. Like even the dumps that we see are curated. Like there's a reason you chose those specific photos. I'm sorry, but we're just really not getting back that 2009. I'm really just showing you my Derp t-shirt. Like, no, I think that I'm not saying that it's impossible for certain people. I'm sure somebody grandma logging on and just showing her grandson and just having a good time.
But I think unawareness.
Exactly. And thank you. It's a lack of awareness and a lack of clarity that I think the majority of people, especially who are in our age bracket, which is like 18 to 24, do not have. And it's not even that I don't think they want that. Like I do believe in that desire for them, as much as I'm literally just like, we live in a society, like you've been socialized in a specific way for a number of years, and now you're going to convince me that you're going to be able to come onto one of the biggest social media platforms in the world where all your friends and family are watching and detach yourselves from what they think and like what you post. Like it's nice to consider, and obviously like when we construct our futures of what we want things to look like, I don't want to like sound like I'm just completely dismissive of that idea or reality, as much as I'm just like, that's not a current reality we live in.
I feel like there are just golden ages of certain inventions while they're trying to get you to like it, so they make it
Great.
really good. It's like, Ubers used to be $5.
Wishing for that time back.
No longer, brother. Like, no longer.
You wish.
Because they want.
Have you ever seen an Uber or Lyft that's been under like? When I was in Portugal, sure, and that was because it was like the city's like a mile. But like now, I'm literally like, when have I ever seen that?
It's $15 to get me from one side of my apartment to the next. Like, what do you mean? $5 is the tip at this point. Like, and it's just like, yeah, they had to do that to get you from using taxis, because like, wow, this is so cheap and convenient. And I just feel very similarly sometimes with social media, where it's just like, wow, like what a cute space to get to know people, interact with people that I otherwise wouldn't have been able to easily interact with. But they were just trying to wiggle their way enough into your life to completely take over it. And it just reminds me of this quote from Dan Harumi, who is technically a comedian, but he just be accidentally profound, where he was just like, social media used to be a place. Like, he's a little older than us, no shade. So very much in that millennial age where you just had a family computer. And I even remember having a family computer before I got my little tablet, and life went downhill from there. And I'm just
using
like,
my mom's laptop, recording my Space Theme album on there.
Exactly. I'm like, I had 3 other siblings. Like, if my parents needed to use the computer, if my siblings needed to use the computer, again, like, the internet was a place that I go to, but now the internet is just all-encompassing thing, and that's just going to change how people move. And because it has completely like swallowed up every aspect of life, from again dating to sharing how you are and keeping up with people to finding a job and what have you, like we are just completely oversaturated with information, with like desire, with like, again, just that, like, your brain is about to literally start tweaking because of just like that, like, just circuit of desire, and the way they got your dopamine going on these TikToks, like, it can't be ignored. Like, of course, again, like, you're going to want to see something new, want to get that new package, want to do anything, because like you've been wired to do that at this point. Like,
for sure. Actually, with you saying that, that reminds me, I also wanted to say, like, we're talking more about the like sociology behind trends in social media right now, rather than like the actual like neuroscience and neurobiology behind it. That honestly in itself could be its own separate episode, but that's why it's a little bit less scientific, less, chemical brain receptors, and more so just kind of like how we move within a society. But with the current talk about like what trends are, and also just kind of like why we've seen this rapid uptick, like, let's actually get into a discussion about like what impact that will actually have on individuality, creativity, and sustainability. Because at the end of the day, this like rapid fire pace cannot be sustained for so long, and we're also still in very much like a birthing era of the internet and social media, so a lot of the effects of these things are literally being monitored and studied as we go. They're not necessarily set in stone, so it'll definitely be interesting to see how they pan out over time.
No, for sure. Like, I think I've always kind of battled with how I feel about like trends and how they're impacting our individuality and creativity. On one end, I'm just like, we just have this absolute surplus of information, and if you do want to get into something, or if you do see something that does pique your interest, like, there's just so much information behind that to support your personal growth. But at the same time, there's something about it that's very paradoxical, because we get back into that poser situation where you're just seeing so much, desiring so much, and just moving so fast with that. Like, I just feel like not to be like a back in the day, because like like it's not even supposed to be giving that, but I feel like people used to move a little bit slower, and I think that just allowed things to become more organic and just give you time to think, like, do you even like this genre of music? Are you just hearing it a lot? Like, it just gave you more time to think about, are you actually even into fashion, or is it cool to be able to put that shit on? Like, that is two different things. Like, do you even like changing your hair up all that much, or do you just feel like that's what the cool girls do and you know you like your black braided bust down? Like, and that's something that I feel like I just battle with, because it's, again, like, if you do want to explore yourself, now more than ever you have the capacity to do so. However, I feel like that journey of self-exploration just doesn't happen that quick.
It's riddled with potholes of another thing is about like the age that you're at too, because I feel like the people who fall most into these trends are at the age in which they're most impressionable, which is why they're most susceptible to them. Shout out to the Microtrend final bosses, like, no shade. Like, when we think of Microtrend final boss, the image that pops up in our head is a young woman. And actually, like, I found out that apparently, like, when you're in your like teens slash, like, I would say like middle school, high school years is apparently when your ability to like recognize and perceive faces is at its peak. First of all, like, information that definitely just tracks, because I feel like that's a era in which you're so self-aware, so self-conscious, and like you really just want to fit in with people. I would say that for a lot of people, that's the era where they most associate with that in their lives. And so it makes sense that past just like the social understanding, but even biologically, like, you really are just more perceptive of everything that's going on around you. And how are you supposed to then find yourself in an era where there's so many different versions of who you could be that are constantly like blasted and marketed towards you with, once again, like those dark marketing tactics with these people who also like are supposed to be kind of role models for you, but because once again we've eradicated all third spaces for people that are for teens and tweens that are in this growing period of life, those people that are the role models is no longer the Disney Channel kids. It really is like they're on the same internet as me. Those role models are also the Jada Waiters. Those role models are also the Hailey Biebers. Like, there is no difference or like separation of space, and so they're automatically just in this adult world and expected to keep up with and conform. And I couldn't imagine walking into a middle school nowadays. Like, I already thought it was rough when I was growing up. I can't imagine going into a middle school now and like everybody has the drunk elephant, everybody has the newest Lululemon, everybody has like all of the new things, and they recently went on a family vacation. So, like, I just feel like the stakes have gotten higher and higher and higher for what it even means to look cool and be in the in group at a phase where people are already at their most vulnerable.
Yeah, and honestly, I really don't know how to stop that upward trend of, again, like wanting to distinguish. Like, obviously, the more people are interested in things, the more accessible, like, again, from a capitalist perspective, like, you got that money, and the more accessible you can make the product to people, if multiple people are buying it, and you can buy whatever you need to make that product in bulk. But again, like, it becomes accessible, people want to move away from that. And like, I don't know where that stops. Like, I don't see it stopping anytime soon. And when we peer into other societies that might be more homogenous than ours, like South Korea, it doesn't seem like things get better. Like, it doesn't seem like things get better. And so from an individuality and creative standpoint, when I see people who I feel like are even in more of the post of that, like, it's not looking hot. However, it ain't for sustainability either. Like, there's not been a single thing we have said this episode that has made me have any hope in what our environment is going to look like in the next like 20 years. Like, literally, again, these companies known for their just like overwhelmingly large amount of waste, whether it be Amazon, AliExpress, like Temu, Shein, they're just gaining more money.
And waste in all kinds too, people, like air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, like everything pollution. There's nothing that's not polluted at this point. Like,
exactly. And I'm just like, literally the search for the term dupe has been going up by like it literally went up by over 100% within 1 year within the last like 5 years. I can't remember which year
I was gonna ask which year.
But definitely again post COVID.
I was about to
like
say
the
if it was
word,
around
yeah,
then,
within
I
the
would,
last
yeah.
5 years, and I'm just like that just really shows like where we are at as a society. And again, like we've already said, reconfirms the fact that it's not even necessarily about the fit or about the thing that is actually trending, but more so about being able to posit like you are a part of this in group and a part of the cool kids.
Yeah, no. And I just think like especially when we spend so much of our time online. For example, Forbes reported that the average internet user across the globe spends like 6.5 hours online, and around like 4 hours of those are on their like mobile cell phone device, which like guys, like we're starting to get like a third of the 24 hours that you are given in this day. Like, hey, and so what do you call it? A third? Is my math correct?
No.
I was about to say, don't judge me, guys. I was not paying. It's late. It's late over here. It's definitely not a third, but still like a significant chunk of the time that people have. And you also have to consider like awake hours as well. Like that is a lot. And I mean, listen, I've been guilty of a high screen time as well, so I'm not here to judge. But once again, with so much of our lives being shaped by the virtual realities that we occupy, we obviously can't get confused when people start to exhibit signs of like really feeding into that and letting it impact their day to day. And then past that with this topic, something that I especially wanted to highlight, because we can never ignore that, is the classism that just kind of completely surrounds and underpins this entire debate. I find that when it comes to a lot of these micro trends, they all revolve around some sort of like rich woman, usually like a rich skinny white woman, and they are the ones that are like the idealized version of how you can accomplish this trend, like whether it's coastal chic or chateau chic, clean girl, like mob wife to lord's wife, coastal cowgirl or cottagecore, like all of these different aesthetics and micro trends that are constantly moving through our current media landscape are representative of the values that we kind of hold as a society, whether that be wealth, accessibility, ease of life, traditional femininity, like even things just like, yeah, like it's just all the values that we kind of like uphold. Family making, or what do you call it, homemaking, and like motherhood are things that I feel like pop up sometimes in these trends. And so you definitely start to see that these women who are incredibly rich end up being the tastemakers of like what these idealized values look like, and not because they are actually intentional like curators or creators of art, literature, music, fashion, as much so as they just had to have the privilege of being born wealthy or being able to live a currently wealthy lifestyle. And so that ends up just deciding what is cool and deciding what the trend is. And so I find with people like, for example, like Hailey Bieber and the sushi. Like I said before, like that's nothing new. I'm sure hundreds, if not thousands of women have kind of done it before, but now that you find a similarity and an accessibility point between you and Hailey Bieber, now it's a behavior that you want to engage in. Or like the Sophia Richie dance where y'all are like shimmying for 3 seconds. It's not actually about the shimmy. No shade to Sophia Richie, but no one is actually impressed by that shimmy. It's more so that they are impressed by the peace within her, because she is a rich woman who doesn't have to, no shade, worry about too much. Like she lives a relatively easy life, and that is what they chase after and desire, is almost the air of being able to live this luxurious, easy life. And so like when y'all adopt these behaviors, like to me it's past just like wanting to partake in something cool, but it almost seems like wanting to sit at the table or be identified with people that you guys think are better than you. Like, and I feel like that's another thing, like it's just like y'all think and value the lives that these women have and the wealth that they have, and so you start to prioritize picking off everything that you can, like vultures, off their carcass because you want that life for yourself.
And like I said, to me, like it's not even like an individual blame thing. I agree. Trends are definitely a window, but regardless of whether or not you think these women are better than you, society does. So, and that's something that you're very aware of. So, like, have your self confidence and everything like that. But, like, these things are as pervasive as they are because we are all contributing to it. And even when it's not a rich woman, it is somebody who is holding something that is quite desirable in our society, whether it be another avenue of conventional attractiveness, thinness, like something to aspire to. And to be honest, the last thing that I'll say on this is that micro trends and like the capacity to just follow them blindly, I will give y'all some individual responsibility with this one, comes from a lot of selfishness. These are, like we have hammered in, are not sustainable practices. Like oftentimes it's infringing on people's cultures, like things that people act, like that actually matter to people. Oftentimes it's requiring the labor of others in order for you to achieve. And then even when we get into dupe culture, it's requiring stealing, and that's like something that people do
That's
not
like
even
morals and
care
ethics
about
101,
anymore.
guys. Like, come on now.
Stealing someone's intellectual property is like not something that people think is a moral failing in the way that they used to. Like, desire is driving all of the decision making, and I feel like if you think you're falling into that sort of spiral and you catch yourself in the blockhead core and you're like, I don't even like dressing like this, like that might be step one, is to just be more aware of those around you and what it takes to get you what you want, and also to, you know, think before you click. Like, do you really need to send that girl 4 messages about the white t-shirt she's wearing? And, you know, again, take a step back and think, all that for a white t-shirt? They gotta be something to it. Like, that's just really the only like individual responsibility that I will leave y'all with, is that chasing your desires at this speed is just such a selfish mindset, and sometimes the easiest way to stop your contribution to something that's bad is to move a little slower. Think genuinely.
Yeah, I think with everything that we've said about this topic, it's about understanding that there are social undercurrents that motivate what you're doing. It's not just like, it's all set up, it's a scheme set up by Todd. Like, everybody kind of has a say in making sure that you are the perfect consumer, and y'all are playing right into their hands to become that perfect consumer, constantly engaging with the algorithm, which is making those social media networks rich, constantly buying new clothes, which is making those fashion corporations rich, constantly buying the new skincare, constantly trying the new restaurant. Like, it's because it was recommended to you by one of the influencers. Y'all don't even like the salad that much. Like, and so I think at the end of the day, kind of having an understanding of that, which is something that I hope this episode was able to help with, will allow y'all to really kind of critically understand, like, as you once again spend those 6.5 hours on your phone, like, you are the product. When you spend this much time on something, when you have so much face time with these algorithms, like, you are the product. You are basically selling yourself to them. And not only, like Gold already said, is it selfish in the way that it interacts with broader society, but I think you're actually doing a disservice to yourself by giving so much of who you are and your identity to the thing that you hold in your hand, as well as the things that you purchase. Like, that is not all that you are. You are a multifaceted human being with a family and friends and a personality and a culture and just like all these different things and hobbies, and all these different things make you who you are. Like, you're unique and you're an individual. You don't have to constantly construct who you are from basically what everybody is trying to tell you who you are. Those people are also going to throw away those coastal cowboy boots after a month. And a lot of the time it's their job to, because they're going to move on to the blueberry nails, and then they're going to move on to the acai bowl, and then they're going to move on to whatever new indicator they're using to tell you that you're going to be the cool girl. So just be wary of all the people who are like, new micro trend this, new trend spotted that, season favorites that. A lot of the times I don't even see these people walking around wearing the things they're talking about. So, hey. But with all of that said and done, time for one of our favorite segments, which is Bits of BS. I can go first. Mine is funnier this time, or more so making fun of myself. It's not even a bad thing this time. It was more so how everybody makes fun of freshmen for when they first come on, the first year, especially those first few months, dressing over the top, and it's the freshmen have arrived on campus. That was me. That was definitely me, and I'll even go so farther as to say, that was me all 4 years. So I sometimes wonder, did people, code me as being younger than I was because I constantly dressed up to class? Not every single day. Listen, I wasn't the biggest fashion killer in the world, but I definitely constantly went out of my way to dress up for class. And as a freshman, my first couple of weeks, I probably did stick out like a sore thumb for trying to always be cute. I don't know.
I feel like if you're not sleeping next to your first day of school outfit, what are we doing?
What's it about?
We losing recipes bad. I'm sorry, what happens to being excited for things? Because I definitely also did that too. Mm-hmm. But also, I don't know, there was bigger fish to fry in terms of me sticking out in my school. But hey. My bit of BS is also kind of making fun of myself. I remember the amount of times chem comes up in my bits of BS, the trauma that I have
I was about to say, that class has you in a chokehold.
But essentially, I remember there being, this big party on campus that, mm-hmm. everybody in, again, inner group and peripheral group seemed to be going to, but I knew I had chem lab in the morning. And I think that, first of all, that is the one and only time that I think I've ever missed the lab, and I was just dang,
oh, Lord,
this is crazy.
Did you sleep through?
I think it was purposeful. I'm not an oversleeper. I don't even be doing that. I be making the decision that I'm staying in this bed and nobody can get me out. And I was well, I guess I will redo it. I show up to the redo and I'm seeing everybody from the party.
Hey.
And then me and these two other people that I knew decided to we just asked if we could just work on the experiment together, because if you know anything about chem lab, it's easier when there's multiple people. And we were supposed to be finding out the alcohol content in this literal box wine. Y'all, when I say that percentage was giving 2 shots of vodka, we were getting something insane, moonshine type 40%. I was this cannot be right. This just can't be right. However, I am going home, so
just got to record them values and keep it pushing.
Claire
Dunphy from Modern Family would have loved that box wine. That lady. Hey, first of all, you guys it wasn't a conscious decision. You guys just saw sleepy girl aesthetic on TikTok the night before, and now once again, you're trying to be cool, you're trying to be in.
Yeah, I was you know what? Maybe this what were those things even called, that you would put on your hard ass prison mattress in the dorm, maybe the mattress topper.
Oh, mattress toppers
is feeling real good today, and maybe they just gonna have to see me later. Needless to say, though, I still don't even think we did all that bad on that lab. With chem lab, they knew that you didn't know what you were doing, and they tortured you for it. So
I can't even say this isn't an unrelatable story or unrealistic story. I feel like all college students have. We've been there. Sometimes, you really just got to take the alarm away and choose peace. But as always, it's been a wonderful episode, guys. We love talking. We love yapping. We love yapping about science. We love yapping about what's going on in society, and we're always going to lecture to y'all about it. As always, check out the required reading. We always do a lot of research into the topics. Once again, different sources, especially about whatever topic we're utilizing. It's also always really cool for us to be able to learn, and so we hope that you guys will take a look at some of the articles and videos that we've looked at and read deeply, especially since we don't always get to cover all of the information from them in the podcast just for the sake of time. So yeah, with all that said and done, we'll see y'all in the next one. We're actually together in Atlanta for this episode because I'm back for a special little trip, but we're gonna go back to being virtual again soon. But with all that said and done, bye. Bye.